On that note, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, appreciate you being here. The high performance calls, they take place Monday through Friday, noon Eastern time. So same bat time, same bat channel. Every single time you can come here. We're going to be here rocking and rolling. Side note, on upcoming Tuesday, I have a dental appointment, some dental surgery. So I won't be here. So I will prep something Monday before. I will send it out. So you can watch that, or you can go back and you can review everything else, or you can spend that time doing some other form of personal development, just letting you know ahead of time so you're ready for it. Okay? So that's next Tuesday. Monday, I will be here. All right. Am I posting daily on Instagram? Yeah, I'll get with that in a second, David. So the purpose of these calls are myriad. We've got a number of different things that we go over, right? We've got personal development.
Quick question for you. Sorry. Remember you said last week, you said you're going to go over LinkedIn marketing.
Yeah.
When are you doing that?
I've got someone that does and helps me with my LinkedIn marketing. I'm trying to coordinate a time to.
That's why I'm asking, because I've looked through it. I like it, so I want to know, what are you doing? How are you doing?
Yeah. We'll as soon as I got my guy, we'll do it. You know, I've got a number of topics like that we will be getting to. I'm trying to do some more where I can pull in some people to do some of that additional training with me. So
awesome. Thank you.
You know, and occasionally, guys, we go into some of those topics. Look, you came in, you've got a funnel that Blake has created that works exceptionally well. You've got products that we know sell. There's no need to mess around too much with it. Really, what's important is your front end content. And that's what we were talking about before. And so you're bringing the people in, they're taking advantage of, you know, they consume the content, they get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you, they come into the funnel, and that's where you rock and roll, right? But it's up to you to create that front end process. Now, I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, we talked about stories and the importance of stories and what that is. I saw this on, there's a gentleman on social media yesterday that I saw, and he said, hey, check this out. And he was giving a training on how to give a good presentation. Now, instead of presentation, I want you to just transform that into overall marketing message. He said, I want you, here's how you give a great presentation. Okay. And I'm saying this simply because I want you to see the type of content that Blake has put together, what we deliver here on a consistent basis. This is here. So he gave these 5 steps. So he's talking about a presentation. I'm talking about a marketing message, whether it's your video or just consistently with your content. Let me actually share my screen instead of just me flipping over to that page, because that doesn't work as well. Okay. All right. So here's a couple of things. This is what he said. Build a rapport with your audience. Establish rules of engagement. Give the bottom line up front. Use stories to make a point and then repeat your main point. Now, I'm going to say it in the language that I have used consistently. Build a rapport with your audience is pretty much what we've said, right? I'm going to create content that engages with my audience. It's about them and my message to them. Establishing the rules of engagement is simply, this is your headline. It's your headline for your message or your blog post or your video. It's, I know what the problem is, and I'm going to explain to you how I understand that throughout my post or in my video, right? That's my headline. The bottom line up front, those are my bullet points. Those are the high points of my presentation. Then I'm going to use stories to make a point. I don't even have to change that. And then I'm going to repeat the main point. So I'm going to tell you what I told you. Now he's leaving out a call to action. Any presentation in an executive environment. So he's saying, this is how you do it in an executive environment. I would say this is incomplete. I would say it's missing out. He was explaining that he learned this as part of his master's program at Dartmouth University here in the United States, something that he paid about $270,000 for his master's program. I'd say this is fully incomplete from a presentation standpoint. And he was like, the way he was presenting it to his audience on social media was, look, I went to Dartmouth. I paid for a master's class, my master's degree. This is one of the key things that they taught us how to do. Here you go. Guys, education is education. What you do with it is what's going to make the biggest difference, right? I feel like between what Blake does, Darren, myself here, and the directions that we point you towards, if you take advantage of that, there's a tremendous amount of education you can use for your business and your marketing. Claudette, if you don't, well, I can't say, if you're not hearing me, then there's not much I can do. V, if you could message her, I don't know what she might need to do. She's saying she doesn't have audio. But I'm just trying to bring the point home, guys. You've got an opportunity to learn a lot, and if you apply it to your business, and it's not just me, I tell you all the time, hey, here's the book that I learned this from. Here's the person that taught me this. Here are the ads that I've run that have helped me figure this stuff out. Utilize it. Become better at what you do, and you don't have to go spend 270 grand at a university for a master's degree to get an incomplete training. For crying out loud, I can't believe you would give a presentation and like the call to action is the most important part. Without that, like, I'm just a brochure, and nobody does anything from a brochure. Okay, so let's dive in. Here's what I want you to do. Today's going to be fairly brief. I gave this training back in November, maybe. So I think Paul might be about the only one that was around on that one, maybe a couple of others. We talked about a Phoenix moment. Paul, you remember that? Defining your Phoenix moment. I want you guys, everybody take a minute. Hopefully you got a pen and paper. I want you to take a minute and think about some moment that you've had, some tremendous experience that you've had in your life that was an accomplishment. Something big, some type of accomplishment. Now, what I'm looking for, though, is a moment. We're not looking for, if we're talking about graduating from university, if we're talking about that master's degree, we're not talking about the entire journey. We're talking about a moment, right? Some moment that was just exceptional for something. Does that make sense? Let me break this down for you guys a little bit. I want you guys to think about that. I call it a Phoenix moment. This is that moment that you rose up, that you were flying above everything else. So I want you to imagine sometime in your life when you accomplished or you did something that made you feel just incredible, right? Where you were empowered, confident, happy, the energy was there. Athletes may call it being in the zone, right? That moment when it just clicked for you. Maybe it was a teaching moment where you were teaching a concept and something was said or something came to you where it almost felt like a moment of enlightenment where you understood it better than you ever had. A time in your life that you felt like you could do anything you put your mind to. I want you to think about that. Now, we're going to take a moment, and it can be any time. When you were a kid, hitting a home run, walking up in the bottom of the last inning, my team down by 2 runs or down by 3 runs, the guy trying to groove a fastball mid-thigh inside of the plate, and I crushed. I still remember, for me, when the ball hit the bat and then when it sprung off of that bat, I remember that moment. I want you to think about that for yourselves. I want you to write that down. Okay, so if on your paper all you're doing is writing, I want you to take a couple of these bullet points because you're going to do this after this call. If you want to, if somebody has something you want to share now, then that's great. But what I want you to do is I want you to take it down and go even, I don't know how I did that line, but I want you to get even more detailed with it. I want that 1-second clip. I want that moment for you. So instead of that full baseball game, I want the one swing. Instead of the whole race, I want the moment crossing the finish line or the moment you passed your person. Or if it's when you asked your significant other to marry you, or when you were asked, it's that moment where, that look in their eye and that pureness of love, or when your newborn baby came in, into your life and you held them in your arms for the very first time, or something that you overcame where you could look, and I want that moment. I want your YouTube clip where you could pause it right there and it would be that moment.
Andrew.
How many of you guys have something you'd like to share? Dara, yes.
I would like to share.
Okay, go ahead.
In 2012, I started, just a new club opened up and I started working out. But my Phoenix moment was in 2013 when I went from a size like 18 to a 8. And that moment when I put on that 8, and I had done Zumba almost daily, I did body pump, I did grit. I mean, I was in my 50s.
Okay, so Dara, let me ask, what was the size 8? What was the outfit? What were the clothes? Is it a dress, a pair of pants? Was it a suit? What was it?
Jeans, size
Okay.
8 jeans.
So that moment when you pulled them up and you buttoned them and you looked in the mirror and you went, holy shit,
Yes.
look at me, right?
Yeah.
That's the moment, right?
It was the health though. I felt healthy. I felt strong. I
So
felt
those are those things that I want you to write down. The healthy, strong, powerful, because of that moment, right? It was the moment where you buckled it and you went, they fit. All of that work, everything you did, all of that effort, that moment is when you went, boom, that's it. Who else has that moment for themselves? Good. Thank you for sharing, Dara. Appreciate that. Who else has, and we're looking for that moment. So I'm going to go Woody, and then Aga's already dancing, so I know she's got something. So Woody, do you have, I want your Phoenix moment.
Yeah, I used to bowl, and it was a moment when I shot my first perfect game.
First? So wait, you've had more than one?
Yeah, I got 4 now total. And I haven't bowled in 5 years. I'm retired, but that was the moment that I had.
So inside, all right, but inside that perfect game, was it the last, the last time that you bowled, like the very last frame, the last moment of the last frame, was it that? Or was there a moment before that where it was just like the clarity was there where you went, this is happening? Like, what was the moment? What was the snapshot?
The 6th frame, when I knew that I was about to do it.
See, that's the thing about a Phoenix moment, like truly grasping that element. Mm-hmm. His perfect game still had 4 or 5 more rolls to hit it, right? He wasn't there yet, but he knew in that moment. And that's what I want you guys to understand. So Aga, do you have one? And Felicia, that's fantastic. That first consulting contract where you sign it and you go, boom, this is something I can do. So that's great. Aga, what about yourself?
Okay, now I have a list. So I'll choose maybe a couple. The moment that I was in Western Ireland in the mountains, sitting on the mountain opposite the Killary Fjord, and I was doing that wealth meditation, and then you feel like, I can achieve that one day. Fantastic. Just you can see the space opening. Further behind the ocean, you have states, nothing in between, and you're like, whoa, that's doable. And the second moment is when one day I stepped on the scale. I achieved weight that I thought I would never ever achieve again. Doesn't matter the number, but simply it was 17 kilos less than a few years ago when I was stuffing myself with fast food every day.
Good.
I really
McDonald's, baby.
That. So
that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Good for you. All right. So the moment that you got the architect's registration certificate in your hand, all of that work, all of those years, all of the study, all of the testing, everything else, boom, it's in my hand. Val, when the first loan officer made over 6 figures, I mean, so guys, this is what I want all of you guys to do. We're looking for your Phoenix moments. That moment, right? Not the whole process, just that moment. Now, you're going to write that down. I'm going to wrap this up in about 3-4 minutes, and I'm going to give you guys some time, and hopefully you take a moment to do this, right? Renee, there's going to be layers to that. There's a lot of cool stuff. So, not necessarily. Michelle's saying, I would think if I had one, I would be able to recall it immediately. Not unless you've spent time learning to do this. Here's the thing. A lot of you guys haven't spent time celebrating your life. You haven't looked back at those moments and said, yeah, I've accomplished stuff. We've spent so much time downplaying what we've done, what we're capable of, right? A Phoenix moment, it would be amazing if every single one was, the certificate, the home run, the down to size 8, right? The winning race, your first contract, whatever, right? The first moments, like for me, one of them is speaking, but it wasn't the entire, weekend. The first time I spoke professionally where I was getting paid, I wasn't supposed to be speaking. I was invited to an event. I was supposed to be speaking, but I was invited to an event and I was supposed to do an hour, right? Was that the first one? Well, this is my Phoenix moment. So I had gotten invited to an event. I was going to do a keynote, an hour long. doing a training that I love, talking about your ideals and actuals, right? I've talked about this a number of times. So that was going to be that training. I got done, but I was going to stay through the whole weekend. And it wasn't a huge event. It was about 150, 200 people in the room. Very cool for me. They were here in Orlando. I got invited in. So I go the next morning, and the guy that's emceeing the entire event comes up to the organizers and says, I have an emergency. I've got to be in Minnesota after lunch today. I'm flying out. And it's Saturday morning, and this is supposed to go through Sunday night. And the organizers turned to me and said, Andrew, you did great on your presentation last night. Would you like to MC the rest of the event? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And they're like, yeah, you're just going to MC. And I went, well, okay. I mean, I can just introduce everybody. I mean, but that guy, like, how much was he supposed to present? And they go, well, you'd probably have to fill out about 5 hours between now and Sunday. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And anyway, what do you say in that moment? Hell yes, of course I will. So I did. And it was during one of those talks on Saturday night. So it was just later in that same day, but there was one moment during that talk where I could see the audience connecting, and I was saying something, and I don't remember the exact point of what I was training, but it was one of those moments where they were there and they were engaged. And I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing. This is what I want to do. Right. But what happens a lot of times, Michelle, is we don't pay attention to all of those moments, what you've been able to overcome. We look at everything else. We look at the difficulties. We look how far we are from where we want to be, right? We're so obsessed with those things that we don't go, you know what? So maybe what you guys need to do, here's your homework. I'm going to give you some more details on your Phoenix moment here. If you're struggling to come up with one, then I need you to sit down and I need you to write out a series of accomplishments or a series of things that you've done, right? Anything, for crying out loud. Any of it. Big decisions you've made that have pushed you in the right direction. Just start doing that. Start it. Because that's a big part of it. Kimberly saying, I got a job in a foreign country when I was down to my last $20. Good. Right? That moment, yes. All right, I'm packing my bags. I'm gone. See ya. So here's your homework, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to come up with your Phoenix moments. This is what you do. You're going to imagine that, and then you're going to refine it to that one moment if you can. Right? Getting that A, getting the certificate, all of that stuff, that one moment. Okay, now we're going to attach some meaning, like Dara was talking about, empowerment, that happiness, that success that you just feel, that warmth. And if you can, what I want you to do is talk about, it was warm outside. It was humid. It was freezing, but I was sitting on my desk and this was happening. I just got done listening to this song. I was wearing this outfit, whatever it is. I want you to place yourself there visually. Imagine it. Do what you need to. That was that moment that you stepped outside and you did something that you hadn't done before. And something came to you. And in doing that, especially if you start listening out, Michelle and a number of the rest of you guys, if you're kind of struggling for some of those big moments, make a list of all of these little things so you can go, I have accomplished, and I'm going to be able to keep accomplishing it. Because you can, guys. You really, truly can.
Hey, Andrew.
Okay? Yes.
Can I make one comment? I don't know. I try not to talk very much, but this morning I was doing the Miracle Morning and I was reading through the book.
Yeah.
And then I have printed out the affirmations and I read the level 10 affirmations every day. I try to read them every day. And today I was reading them and I noticed that I shake my head no. Throughout when I talk, I just talk like this. So then I was like, I had to make myself read the entire affirmation in the positive. And it was work to get my head to go like this, not like this.
Guys, thank you for sharing that, Dara. And that's so insightful. And that's that moment of self-awareness. I realize that some people come to these or that we've got people that avoid them entirely because they think that it's all the foo-foo. If you can't understand that all of this is connected, that your business in 6 months will have something to do with how you treat your daily personal development, because this is how you treat yourself. And if you can't treat yourself well, your business is going to suffer. If you can't treat yourself well, you struggle with personal relationships. If you can't get behind personal development, your health is probably out of whack. If you can't learn, spend time developing yourself and looking at what you've accomplished, then your relationship with money probably sucks. That's just the reality, guys. And I say that because I've had to deal with and continue to work through all of the BS that I've had throughout my life, because we've all had it. There's very few of us that have been raised without some type of something to overcome. And yet the reality is all of you can overcome it. And you have at some point, despite the odds and everything else that may be going wrong in your life, at some point you've overcome those obstacles to have your very own Phoenix moment. And what I want you to do today, guys, is sit down and write those out and understand and think about it and what you were thinking, what you were feeling, how what was going on around you. Were you standing? Were you sitting? Recreate it. Think about it. Put yourself into that visualization and then find somebody to share it with. Just tell that story.
Okay, I want to share with you this. I just had my Phoenix moment. I got my certification, and this is about digital marketing.
Well, good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It
That
took
moment where you
months,
open it up, right?
I jumped,
And
I
it's not-
danced.
Look at the entire process, guys, and understand the work that goes into it, but pay attention to those moments.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes when we look at the entire process of what it took to get us where we are, we end up thinking a lot about those struggles and not that moment of happiness. We talk about the frustrations. Oh, I had to overcome this and this and this. And we don't talk about that moment of relief. Right? That empowering moment, that moment of joy when it's just there.
Mm-hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, sit down today, write out your Phoenix moment, and then sit with someone and share and just say, you know what? I was just thinking about this moment earlier, and you mind if I share it with you? It was just a cool thing. And I'd love to hear a moment like that for you. Do you have one of those? Do that with your significant other. Do it with the family. Do it with kids. And if they go, Mom, I don't have something like that, just be like, what's something cool that you've done recently? And they say, well, I got this on a test. Oh, that, maybe it was that first time that Dad let go of the bike when you were riding it, or you had learned how to do it on your own. You rode it without training wheels. Whatever it is, guys, go back as far as you can and figure it out, because you've all got them. Spend some time thinking about that this weekend. Start off your Monday having reveled in your Phoenix moments throughout the weekend, and empower yourself, and always rise from the ashes, fly like the phoenixes that you are. Go out and kick some ass. Have an amazing weekend. Everybody stay healthy, stay happy, share some more smiles. The world needs a hell of a lot more of those right now. So go be fantastic, guys. Love you. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.